Hey guys, today we'll be talking about the Analects of Confucius 7.6, which is essentially just a miniature version of Confucian education. And so today we'll be focusing on 4 kind of levels that are intentionally ordered from a broad, higher orientation to a more narrow kind of self-discipline. And that's also following strictly with something and to moving freely within something. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started. 7.6, the master said, set your aim for the way, hold on to your integrity, rely on your humaneness, and get your share of play in the arts. So let's just go level by level, starting with the most broad. So set your aim for the way. So that's actively intending and aspiring to, and actively deciding to orient your life toward the way, which is the Confucian idea of the correct way to live, the morally correct way to live, and that's surrounded by virtue and constant refinement of yourself, your inner character, and as in how you are as a person. So this intentionally goes first because a student first needs to be oriented. If there's first no goal or even wish or aspiration or a determination to reach something, then everything that you do will likely be kind of scattered. Your learning will be scattered because there is no aim. There is no really a direction on where to go and where to direct your learning towards. And so if your will isn't set upon the way or just set upon the idea of becoming a better person, become a more ordered person, then everything that you do will likely also be impartial. And of course, it's better to go 100% rather than 50%. And so essentially, setting your aim for the way is deciding and actively noticing, acknowledging that being a good person is better and should be placed first than anything else, because once you are a good person, then everything else falls into the correct place. And then we're going on to hold on to your integrity. So this can also be hold on to your virtue. So this is clinging very heavily, very much to the idea of the way, the idea of the constant refining yourself and really grounding yourself, standing firmly in this virtue, in integrity. And integrity is like integrity to the way. So you need to stand so firmly, be really rooted in your determination to reach this goal that nobody can sway you or influence you into not achieving this goal. So a person without cultivated virtue or integrity can be easily swayed or influenced by some external factors, or maybe even your internal factors. And so you need a really stable, unmoving, unwavering, determined character. And this is kind of like the backbone, or the moral backbone. Bone as in really rigid, and it holds up your character so that you stand upright. And then, kind of contrary to what I just said, the next part is rely on your humaneness. So humaneness isn't this really rigid thing at all, actually. It's more like you're living or a moral heart. So this is the living part, because if you have everything except for humaneness, which is also the central Confucian virtue, then, well, you're just kind of like a robot, or you're just kind of distancing yourself from the world. But Confucianism actually doesn't want that. It also wants you to be properly human to other humans. And again, humaneness is the full-hearted capacity to love others properly and relate to others as well. So to rely on your humaneness is to dwell in, like live in, and really lean on this idea of benevolence and just being a good person to other people. And plus, if you have this virtue, then it's essentially a win-win, because you get to both help yourself cultivate your inner character, your virtues, which again, humaneness is one of the virtues, and you can also at the same time help others achieve their virtues as well. And just a little side note, away from the narrative, I know that it's a little bit hard to imagine this actually working, as in like you helping other people while also helping yourself at a big scale, but Confucianism actually doesn't really focus on the big scale very much. Actually, while it is absolutely okay to focus on the big scale, you should always first focus on the little things. Go from little to big gradually. So first, focus on yourself, cultivating your inner character, or yes, being humane, or being humane to yourself first, and organizing yourself and really studying yourself in a way that you are ready to go on to your family or those around you. And really, humaneness is actually mostly just you focusing on being humane, being properly human, and helping out the people, just the people around you, like your family or your friends or whoever is close to you. And then once you're stable with that, then you can go to a larger scale. So it's basically the idea of helping yourself before helping others. And no, that is not selfish and inhumane at all. Actually, it's what you're supposed to do. If you can't govern yourself first, if you can't cultivate your own virtue first, then how can you even be expected to help others do that in themselves? And how can you be expected to really help others in a way that is actually beneficial to them and not damaging to you? And then the last part, the most narrow part, as in the most miniature. So get your share of play in the arts. So it's kind of like, get your share of play. It's kind of like take delight in, or move around in, or roam, or really play in, and just like moving around freely in, taking delight, oh, I said that already, in the arts. And that can be really just anything that fosters a good inner person. It's just really just discipline. And in the ancient Chinese times, people know the arts as the 6 arts, as in rituals, like we've talked about a lot, and as well as music, archery, calligraphy, riding on chariots, and also mathematics. So all of these are designed to have you develop a better inner person. And that's actually not really focusing too much on the external motions. And actually the most important thing is that not that you can master the external parts, and instead it's supposed to have you refine your inner selves. So one of these 6 things, or all of these six things, either teach you strategy, or patience, or reverence, or just peacefulness, or anything like that. And again, like I said, the arts can really be anything at all that cultivates your inner character. So that can even be learning, like we've talked about a lot, which Confucius really loves. So these are basically practices that can refine a person's emotions or movements or judgments or anything like that. Since these are disciplines, you should practice them a lot of times, so much that you can essentially play with them and move around freely and with ease and with really joy and happiness, because you don't really have to think about doing them anymore because you've done them so many times. However, the arts can't just become techniques or skills like what happens when you likely separate the arts from humaneness or virtue or the way. And that's not at all what Confucius wants. He doesn't just want you to master skills just because of skills. And like I said, it's to really master the virtues, which will contribute to your goal of becoming a better person with the way. And that can be said for all 4 of these. So they're kind of like an interdependent system in which you can't not have one, and the gentleman needs to have all 4. So, for example, if you have the arts without humaneness, then you'll be kind of just going through the motions, but actually not really that approachable, I guess. You'll definitely be able to master the physical parts of it all, but you might not be able to really comprehend or fully master the inner parts of it all, because again, the inner parts are virtue, and well, humaneness is a virtue. And the other way around works as well. If you have humaneness but you don't have the arts, then you might be warm and friendly, but Confucianism also doesn't want you to just become warm and friendly. It also wants you to have order, and that is achieved through discipline. And that's disciplinary actions, and that's the arts. And if you have virtue but you don't have humaneness, then I don't think you're getting the point, because, well, humaneness is a virtue, and without humaneness, you'll likely just become really rigid, and that's also not what Confucianism wants. And if you have virtue but you don't have humaneness, then you see the problem. And if you only really aspire to embody the way, but you don't have any virtues, then that's also a problem, because, well, you can't just wish for something to happen without really actively going for that thing. And if you only have virtue but you don't have the way, again, your virtue will likely be scattered because it doesn't have any direction. And so, yeah, the gentleman needs all 4 to function well. And so first, fix your life, or direct your life toward the way, as in trying your absolutely best to be the best person that you possibly can be. And by doing that, you also need to have a really stable character and not be swayed or influenced by anything else that might influence you to not achieve that goal. And then you also need to rely on humaneness, as in really live in it and really contribute to helping those around you while helping yourself as well. Again, it's a win-win. And then you also need to master the arts or discipline yourself so that all of these virtues and all of these actions become almost natural to you, and that enables you to have a sense of newfound freedom in the way that you don't really have to think about whether this decision is right or not. Or you don't even have to think about how to react to this thing, because you already know the solution to whatever thing that comes at you. It's kind of like a reaction to life's challenges or just the events that life throws at you. And so, yeah, that's the Gentleman's Toolkit, and I hope you learned something, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!